Welcome to another episode of Ghana Ground Up. It's good to be back again for another week, and we hope you've been tuned in to the previous episodes. And as is our tradition, we build on what we discussed in the previous episodes. Now, very often when people think about real estate, they often think about the price. That's what comes up first, money. But then, is price the most important thing or the most important factor when you're considering real estate? Today, we'll be talking about the value of real estate and why you should factor in the value probably even first before the finance aspect of things. So it's not all going to be about the money, how much is real estate, how much is the house, and all that. There are other things that you should consider alongside the price of the property. They say price is what you pay, value is what you get. And that is very true, regardless of the market you find yourself in. So whether you're in Accra, you're in Lagos, you're in London, regardless of where you are, this is true and it holds valid regardless of the market boundary that you're operating in. So then let's understand this concept of value and what it's in it for you and why you should consider it when you're making your decisions about a property you want to invest in. There are certain things that determine the value of a property, and I'd like us to look at a couple of them. So let's start with location. Now, when you consider location, is one of the main things when we're talking about real estate, because as the adage goes, location, location, location. And you either get it right with location or you get it wrong with a whole project or property or whatever you're looking at. So let's say you're looking at a house. If you get the location wrong, then everything about that property goes south, and you don't want to get the location wrong. For example, in Accra, there are some key hotspots that are the usual culprits that everybody's mind gravitate towards when we talk about good locations. We know East Legon, we know Cantonment, Airport Residential Area, and all these other places. And there are also equally high-ranking locations like Jolu, Tema, Achimota, and all that. But then no two locations are the same, and each location has what it has to offer. And when you're considering location too, it's not just about, let's say, the one that has a lot of acclaim. You want to find a place where what you need for your lifestyle will be in close proximity. So then we need to highly consider location as one of the prime things when you're looking for real estate. And this ties into the concept of value, getting good value wherever you choose to invest. Now, moving on from location, let's look at the concept of the growth potential of wherever you choose to invest. For many locations, like the ones I already mentioned, the hotspots, they already have a lot of good things going for them. The place is already serviced, there's a lot of good infrastructure and all that. So you don't need to do a lot of thinking. What may be the decider for you in this situation will be beyond some of the things that I'll be talking about down the line. You would also probably consider the price, because of course, price of properties in these locations are really high. But then coming back to the issue of the future growth potential of the location. Let's say you don't have the money to buy in a hotspot or a prime location in Accra, and maybe you've been advised that if you want to start in real estate, you need to go probably outside Accra, where properties are cheap, where land is cheap, and then start from there. But then, wherever you choose to invest, let's say Pram Pram, or maybe somewhere around Kaswa, or even beyond, you need to consider the viability of the place in terms of growth, in a sense that, is there any plan of development for the place? If the roads are not good, is there any immediate or future plan for the roads to be done? Is there any plan for some good infrastructure and amenities? If the answer is no for the short and long term, then that gives you an idea of whether to settle for that property or not. And let's talk about this case of Accra. When you look at old pictures of Airport Residential Area and then what we have today, the place was basically bush. I mean, nobody would easily settle for it. And we have the same situation in the present times now, where a lot of places that hold promise are not desirable. Now, when you look at Airport Residential now, a place that used to be bush and undesirable is now one of the most expensive locations or addresses in the country. When you consider the growth potential of the location you're invested in, or the place that you would like to peg your tent, you definitely need to consider if there is any plan for the place. And how do you find out if there's any plan for the place? By doing your research, your due diligence, asking questions so that you can be well educated on the value that the place holds today and the times ahead. Now, beyond the future plans for the place, you also need to find out a lot about what currently exists in the location you're interested in. What are the amenities available? What is the infrastructure available? Are there roads, or are there other relevant utilities like potable water? Is there electricity? Is there good access to waste disposal and all that? Are there any places of public interest? Let's say banks, schools, hospitals, and the usual places that we normally frequent, even shopping centers. You also want to consider the issue of your security and your safety. For some people, there are times when you drive around, especially when you're going outside Accra, where you see maybe small settlements, or maybe there's a place where all around the area there's basically bush, and there's some one house or two houses in that area, and that's it. For your security and your safety, I doubt if such locations can easily access help if the need arises. For example, God forbid, but then if there's a fire or there's a burglary, there is no quick access to help. Neighbors and all that. There's barely anybody around. Now, maybe that's a far cry, but then let's come to the case of city living. Now, the fact that you're in a city and you're not really far away from anybody doesn't mean that you have total or absolute security. There is a case where those living in gated communities will have a better level of security, and they would value that over someone who is living in a standalone property somewhere around town. Regardless of where you live, there are different grades and levels of security that you need to look out for. You also want to consider the rental yield that you can expect to get from the place that you're investing in. Let's say I'm in East Legon, and then a two-bedroom house or a three-bedroom house in East Legon, standard house in East Legon, may rent for not less than 5,000 cedis a month. If you go away from East Legon to, let's say, a place like Achimota, the same house moved from East Legon to Achimota may rent for, let's say, half the price. And it just tells you that at the end of the day, if you're choosing to invest in a place, also have this in mind, that the place you invest in will have a direct impact on how much money you can make if you're renting. Now, that is quite identical to the case of capital appreciation. Now, capital appreciation basically means the value by which your property will grow. If you bought the property for 100,000 Ghana cedis, in a couple of years' time, will it remain around the same amount, or will it go for like 150,000? That difference is what we term capital appreciation. So just like the rental yield, the capital appreciation is also a key factor to consider if you desire to sell the property later on. So then, based on the things that you have to consider, such as the location, the amenities available, the infrastructure, your safety, your security, the capital appreciation, the rental yield, and all these other things that come together to define the value of the property, make sure that you're getting good value, and also make sure that it is something within your budget, something you can afford. Why should you focus on value? Well, beyond the price, one of the good things that arises when you get the value right is that it prevents you from having to deal with buyer's remorse. Now, a buyer's remorse is just a simple case where you buy something only to realize that you don't really like what you've bought. So maybe you've got a good deal, good in quote, the property sold for 200,000 Ghana cedis, and it's a three-bedroom property. Of course, I mean, you're your own landlord or your own landlady, you own your own property, and you don't have to pay rent to anybody. But consider this, that you work in Accra. There's a cost element that you have to deal with when you have to get to work. And there's also a time factor that you have to deal with, in a sense that it will cost you quite a bit to get from Pram Pram all the way to Accra to work, and also, back home. It will also cost you time, because as of now, that road is really laden with a lot of traffic. And until the road is expanded, you can expect to deal with a lot of frustration when it comes to quick access. You get to realize that though you got a good deal on the property there, in the short term, you may deal with buyer's remorse in a sense that you will feel like what you got is not really what you would have normally settled for. Beyond the issue of buyer's remorse, you also want to get good value for a property because you want to get a place that will maximize in appreciation. So whether you're renting, whether you're going to sell the place later on, you want a place that maybe from the time you bought it till the time that you want to sell it, the value would have gone up considerably. Looking out for good value helps you to make smart investment decisions. Beyond all that I've shared with you and all that, you may be wondering, what is the way out, or what are some ways to avoid the pitfall of putting the price before the value? I've got a few tips for you that I believe will help. One of the main things that you need to do when you want to get the value right is to do your research and do your due diligence. You need to know enough about what you're investing in. Why? Because a lot of money is going into it. Get it right from the start. That way, you don't have to worry about the future and what problems there might be because you've got the value equation right. Now, you also want to consult the experts. You want to talk to the right people. You want to get a lawyer, you want to get a surveyor, you want to get all the right people. And even when you're looking to rent or buy a property, you want to get a broker or an agent. And that is where POLEN Realty comes in. Now, POLEN Realty is a top performing property brokerage in Ghana, and they specialize in prime properties across all the key locations in Accra and Tema. So if you're looking to buy, you're looking to rent, you're looking to sell your property, definitely you want to get in touch with POLEN Realty. Check out their website at polenrealty.co, or you also want to give them a call. You can let them know that you found out about them from Ghana Ground Up. Beyond talking to the experts, you also want to visit the location in question. Rainy seasons are excellent times to explore or find out more about the locations that you're interested in. When it rains, you can tell for yourself if the place is accessible, if the place is waterlogged, if you build there, what will be the repercussions? What do you have to deal with? Now, you also want to think long term. It's not just about what is available and what is served you right now. Another way to keep ahead of things is to stay informed, stay updated. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, you definitely want to do that because we share so much about the real estate industry in Ghana. And you staying tuned to the channel means you're a step ahead of anybody else who probably may not have an idea or may not know his way around, especially concerning the topics that we discuss here. So subscribe to the channel, share the link, invite someone, share the video, and beyond just staying tuned to Ghana Ground Up, you also want to stay tuned to what happens in the space. So read online, find out more about, let's say, government policies and changes and any activity in the space that may help you to make the right decisions. All in all, you will see that getting the value right in real estate is actually very important and probably even more important than just selling for any property because of the price you're offered. Let's not put the cart before the horse and put price first. Let's do what is needful and helpful by putting the value first. Then we can think about the price, get a good balance, and in the end, we can end up with a property with good value. I hope I've helped you in some way, small or big, but in the end, I believe that you will make the right decisions in your quest to be a property owner sooner or later. My name is Desmond Kafui, and thank you for staying tuned into Ghana Ground Up. It's been an honor having you. I hope to catch you in the next episodes of the podcast. Stay tuned. Peace.